Loaded show here at Dolphins Today by Chat Sports, but we are playing the Chicago Bears this week in the first preseason game, and we're also playing them here at Chat Sports in our weekly sub battle. We're trailing just by 57 subscribers. Join the channel today for 2 videos every single day, Dolphins coverage, news, rumors, everything in between. Let's also take down the Chicago Bears. I am Nick Roloff. This is Dolphins Today by Chat Sports, and we have a lot to cover on this morning edition of the channel. Tyreek Hill was not at Dolphins practice today. We'll showcase why that was the case. We'll also look at some other injury news, practice notes, and takeaways. This was the final Dolphins practice in Miami. They will travel to Chicago on Thursday, joint practice Friday, preseason game on Sunday. Starting with Tyreek Hill. He was not there, and well, actually, there wasn't a big reason why. Now, there was reports that it's due to an undisclosed injury, so no one would know what this injury is and how severe it could be. I am sure Mike McDaniel will answer questions leading up to Sunday's preseason game. He did not really mention anything at his press conference on Wednesday morning, so we'll have to wait and see an update on Tyreek Hill. Hopefully, it is nothing serious. Now, we do still have about a month until the Dolphins' first game against the Indianapolis Colts, so there would be ample enough time for him to rehab and recover if it is a minor injury, so he's 100% for week 1. I never anticipated seeing Tyreek Hill in any preseason game anyway, but you just want to hope it's not going to keep him out for any regular season time, because despite everything that he does off the field and how I said this entire offseason, I would be fine moving him before the season started. Well, he's here, and he's a vital part of this Dolphins offense, so I hope he is ready to roll in week 1. There are other players not at Dolphins practice today. Obviously, Tyreek Hill. The other 7 names. Bayron Matos still out. Obviously, the first preseason game, training camp practice, he was airlifted to the hospital, so he is still away from the team. Austin Jackson's out for multiple weeks. And then the same 4 players that we talked about on yesterday's show, Ashtyn Davis, Cam Smith, Dante Trader, Alec Ingold. But a new one is a center, Andrew Meyer, and this is the one I want to focus on. This was the primary backup center for Miami to this point in training camp, behind your starting center, Aaron Brewer. And Mike McDaniel, when asked about the injury, said that he has had a great camp. He has really stepped up his game from last year. He will be out weeks, though, one of the top performers. And that part about him being out weeks is just detrimental once again, because Miami's starting offensive line remains relatively intact. The only injury is Austin Jackson. But this depth on this O-line is very, very bad. The second and third line O-line have been abused so far by the Miami Dolphins defense. And when you have your backup center, Andrew Meyer, out weeks, Liam Eichenberg has still not returned to the Dolphins. He's on the PUP list. And then you have some of these other injuries as well. It just is a massive blow. Like, Larry Borum has been bad in camp so far. Daniel Brunskill has been up and down. Jackson Carman is horrific. Jermaine Afidi was signed to be the Austin Jackson replacement, and Ryan Hayes has really struggled as well. So I'll be honest, I'm a bit nervous for this Sunday preseason game. I can't wait to see Zach Wilson. I can't wait to see Quinn Ewers and how they play in a Dolphins uniform for the first time. But I can't imagine they are going to have a clean pocket, because I doubt Miami is going to play their starting O-linemen a lot, especially with veterans like James Daniels and Aaron Brewer. There's a small chance we see Jonas Savaiinaea or Patrick Paul. Mike McDaniel said he will make that decision after the joint practice on Friday morning, so we'll have an update on that for you over the weekend. But this depth is not good, and I can't imagine the O-line play is going to be good this upcoming Sunday. Darren Waller is the final injury note that we'll talk about today. Mike McDaniel said earlier today that Waller is about a week away from practicing. He remains on the PUP list. He said it was tricky trying to find the right time for Waller to finally get off the PUP list and start practicing. Said it would be extremely difficult to do it in a joint practice, and obviously there is no practice between the joint practice and the preseason game. So ideally on Monday or Tuesday, whenever the Dolphins return to practice, probably Tuesday after the game on Sunday, Waller is practicing. That is the hope. And the hope is that we see him soon, and we need to see him soon. Listen, Miami traded their tight end one, Jonnu Smith, to the Steelers. Right now, it's Julian Hill, Pharaoh Brown, and Tanner Connor. That is not an NFL tight end room. And I get it, the tight end position isn't the most important in this Dolphins offense, but you need Darren Waller to contribute something this season. I don't think it's guaranteed he even makes the 53-man roster, which is why he needs to be ready to roll in the next week or so we could start seeing him at practice and start seeing how he would fit in this Dolphin scheme and how he could be utilized. Make the call for me, folks. Do you think Darren Waller will be good for this Dolphins football team? I know it's a very subjective way to look at this, but I'm curious on what y'all think. Do you guys have high aspirations for Darren Waller? Type Y for yes or type N for no. Transitioning from injury news and updates to some takeaways from Dolphins practice, there was a lot to learn and a lot confirmed. And, well, folks, welcome to your daily update on Chop Robinson, because he continues to be the best pass rusher on this Miami Dolphins football team. It took him a while to get rolling in his rookie season, but from week 8 to week 17 in the final 8-9 games of the year, he was the best pass rusher on the Dolphins. And in the training camp portion of the offseason, he is the best player on this Dolphins defensive line. Travis Wingfield noting that he's lost track of this, but he's 99% sure Chop Robinson has had a sack every day in team activities. He had one on 2-0 working against Larry Borum. Now in one-on-one reps, he split 1-1 with Patrick Paul. And I think that's important because Patrick Paul, the Dolphins' second-year left tackle, has been almost shooting 95% in one-on-one reps. All the takeaways from beat reporters are that he just simply doesn't lose one-on-one reps. So the fact that Paul and Chop splitting, iron sharpens iron, I'm excited for those two as they are both building blocks on both sides of the offensive line, defensive line for this football team. Another shocker, Willie Gay Jr. is unreal again. I feel like I can make this little part of a segment on a video every single day of, oh, Chop Robinson had another sack, he's dominant. Oh, Willie Gay Jr. has been sensational at Dolphins camp. Like, I just feel like beating a dead horse here, but I also want to make sure you guys are the most, knowledgeable Dolphins fans you can possibly be. And if they are the biggest talking points at this Dolphins practice, I'm going to bring them up again. Barry Jackson saying that Willie Gay Jr. in a span of 4 minutes of real time had 2 sacks and a PBU at the line of scrimmage, knocking down a Zach Wilson pass. I have said that based off what I've seen and heard from Willie Gay Jr. at Dolphins training camp, that I think he could very well be your starting linebacker alongside Jordan Brooks. Brooks has been phenomenal in camp as well, so he'll be probably one of your best defensive players. But is Tyrell Dotson going to hold on to that LB2 starting spot? I don't know, because Willie Gay Jr. has been that good. We'll have to see. I'm excited to watch him play in the preseason to see if the practice translates to the football field. More news and notes to come here in a second, but 25% off Dolphins jersey today only when you go to chatsports.com/Dolphins jersey. Take advantage right now, whether you want to get a Tua, Chop Robinson, Jalen Waddle, Jalen Phillips, Tyreek Hill. It don't matter. Get your jerseys now. You order them now. You get it 25% off, and it will be here in time for Week 1 against the Indianapolis Colts. Links in the description and comments of today's video. One more time, chatsports.com/Dolphins jersey. I think we have a new RB2 on the roster as well. I hinted at this late last week in a video that Alexander Mattison has just been phenomenal through training camp and has outperformed Jaylen Wright. Well, that sentiment just continues to be echoed as we go on and on here with every single practice. Travis Wingfield mentioning Mattison again, having a type of camp that's impossible to ignore. It's not live, and it's tough to see the full complement of a back in the setting, but the way he's seeing and hitting it at full speed translates. Another chunk play where he has been a chunk play machine to this point in training camp, which is a little bit of a surprise because you don't think of Alexander Mattison as someone who's going to pick up 15, 20 yards consistently on the run game, because he's more of a physical bruiser, not a speedy hit the hole and take off type of guy. But I feel like I have to change the depth chart. I've had the second-year running back from Tennessee, Jaylen Wright, as RB2 to Devon Achane for the entire offseason. But with what I've heard and seen from Alexander Mattison, I have to put him at RB2. He's been a starting running back for multiple years in the National Football League, had a rough year for the Raiders last season, but he was good for the Vikings in the previous stop of his career. And maybe this gets switched back by the time we get to week 1 against Indianapolis, but I have a hard time saying that the running back depth chart, based off what I've seen and heard, would be anything different than this for that first game if it was being played this Sunday rather than in another month. So pick an RB2 for me. Which running back do you want as the one backing up Devon Achane? They both have a good complementary skill set to Devon Achane. Type AM for Alexander Mattison or type JW for Jaylen Wright. Jack Jones, we got to talk about him again. This corner that Miami signed a week and a half ago, replacing Artie Burns, Kader Kohu. After they went down with injury, he's been phenomenal. Went 3-0 in 1v1 settings against D. Eskridge, Andrew Armstrong, Nick Westbrook-Keeney, Travis Wingfield, saying that there was 0 yards of separation on all routes. He also almost had a pick six on Quinn Ewers later, but it ended up being a diving PBU. Also had a really good play against Theo Wease Jr., squeezing him out of bounds in a red zone play. Like, I'm sold, man. Like, I don't know. A lot can change from now until September 7th, but Jack Jones is the starting corner on this football team. Like, and if you want the truth from me, and maybe I'm overreacting here, but Jack Jones and Storm Duck have solidified themselves as the starting boundary corners, in my opinion. I have a hard time justifying another player being one of the starting boundary guys. Like, Mike Hilton is your starting slot, but I would not anticipate Miami playing him on the boundary that much. So when the Dolphins aren't in the nickel, which they're going to be in nickel like 75, 80% of the time, just so it's more or less in like goal line and short yard situations. I mean, Storm Duck and Jack Jones are your guys. Like, Jack Jones will certainly have questions about his mental and ability to stay locked in and focused on and off the field. And his ability to tackle is a question as well. But when you specifically look at the ability to cover as a talented corner, I don't think there's a more talented cover corner on this roster. So Jack Jones is a starter. Storm Duck's been really consistent. He's a starter as well. Those three are your starting corners with your Minkah Fitzpatrick, Ifeatu Malafanu duo at the safety position. All right, final word on today's show. This Quinn Ewers and Theo Wease Jr. connection is fun, man. They connected on a touchdown, another 13-yard pass. Like, every time I hear about Quinn Ewers making a really good throw, it's to two people. It's either to D. Eskridge or Theo Wease Jr. The players, in my opinion, that are the most likely to make this 53-man roster if the Dolphins keep 5 guys. We know the top 4, NWI, Malik, Tyreek, and Jaylen. Well, who's that 5th guy? I think it's D. Eskridge, but if you keep 6, it's Theo Wease Jr., and maybe Wease Jr. can stack another 2 weeks here to maybe overtake D. Eskridge. But Quinn Ewers really has a good connection with those two. I always thought Andrew Armstrong was going to have a shot to make this roster. The UDFA wide receiver from Arkansas feels more and more likely if Miami keeps him, it's going to be on the practice squad this year unless Wease Jr. gets hurt and Armstrong just really comes on. But, man, these two have been really, really good and connected at the hip throughout Dolphins practice so far. That'll do it for this edition of Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. If you want more content around the Miami Dolphins in between our videos, go follow me over on Twitter at Nick_Roloff. I got highlights, news, rumors, thoughts, short form content, and more. So go give me a follow right now.